I am in 6th grade and I use a power wheelchair because I have cerebral palsy. My mom has tried to get me into private schools before, but they said no because I'm in a wheelchair. They didn't want to deal with things like ramps. Public schools are the only place where my siblings and I can go and feel included.
12-year-old Felicita Pignon's educational and life story is one that most Americans don't even have to consider. It's also one that legislators in her home state of Texas need to hear as they look to implement their private school voucher program that irresponsibly places enriching the wealthy over her rights.
Greg Abbott is selling this private school voucher scam by calling it school choice. But it's not school choice. It's the school's choice, because private schools can deny admission to any kid for any reason they want. So how is it choice when the private school has all the power? How is it choice when a majority of counties in the state of Texas don't have a single private school in them? How is it choice when private schools don't have to provide transportation or special education services? And how is it choice when the voucher doesn't even cover the full cost at most private schools in Texas? If you gave my former students on the west side of San Antonio a $10,000 voucher, there's still no way they could afford a $20,000 a year private school. But here's the catch. The wealthy parent who is already sending their kid to a $20,000 a year private school is about to get a $10,000 discount, a $10,000 coupon at our expense. Vouchers are welfare for the wealthy.
Texas State Representative James Tallarico has been in the fight to represent the students of Texas that be overlooked and ignored by these school voucher programs. And when his Republican colleagues try to dispel the truths that he keeps on telling, he refuses to accept their excuses as actual answers.
I also think parents should be the ones making decisions for their kids. Yeah. I doubt anyone on this committee disagrees with that. What I'm saying is a family making over $500,000 a year shouldn't get my taxpayer dollars to make that decision. I'm not trying to prevent them from making a decision. Is anyone on this dais proposing that we make it illegal to go to a private school? I'm not proposing that. I don't think anyone here is proposing that. What we're talking about is, are we sending our limited, precious taxpayer dollars to the wealthiest families in the state who are already sending their kids to private school? And if you say that's not the purpose, then put it in your bill.
75% of the prioritizations levels are families earning $160,000 or less. 75%.
Again, prioritization is not enrollment. We just established that. You can say someone is prioritized, that they're eligible. That doesn't mean they can actually get in.
It's odd, but Tallarico has this rare ability of what used to be listening skills and the ability to ask a question that allows him to then hear the answer and recognize when it's not being answered at all.
It's much easier to get these funds if you already have your kids in private school, because you've cleared the biggest hurdle. But do you think that our taxpayer fund should go to a family making over $500,000 a year who's already sending their kid to private school?
I think parents deserve the right to make that decision.
No, that's not my question. That's not my question. I really want an answer to this question. Do you think our taxpayer dollars should go to a family making over $500,000 a year who are already sending their kids to private school? Because that's the question, not a low-income family. We could have that conversation. Not even a working class, middle class family. We could have that conversation. But your bill allows for literally millionaires to take money that could go to public schools to subsidize their private school tuition. Are you okay with that? Or should we work on that part of the bill?
I think parents deserve that right.
His fellow congressman there refused to answer the question or even commit to adding to his bill an economic limit to his money that's going to go to the richest constituents at the expense of lower and middle class students. And if that isn't their intention, why can't he address it and then fix it? That lack of that commitment is a glaring admission that they recognize the issue, but then they still want it. But in case anyone thought this state debate in Texas is separate from the Trump administration's latest move to eliminate the Department of Education, Tallarico highlights how it directly affects these discussions and 12-year-old Felicita.
Elon Musk bought the presidency And now the richest man in the world is gutting the Department of Education. And it's not just Elon. All across the country, billionaires are trying to destroy our public schools. Here in Texas, Greg Abbott is defunding our classrooms because a group of billionaires paid him millions to do so. This is all public information. You can look up the names. Jeff Yass, Tim Dunn, Ferris Wilks, Betsy DeVos. All the attacks on public education, from book bans to voucher scams, are all part of a coordinated, well-funded campaign by wealthy special interests to discredit and then defund our schools. They've already privatized our healthcare. They've already privatized higher education. They've already privatized childcare. Now those things are no longer public goods. Those things are out of reach for most working people.
When the direct connection between the purchasing of our legislators by the richest people in the state and country is clearly stated, it's impossible for those bought politicians to come up with an excuse that leads to anything else. The way that money has become the most obvious vehicle to corruption in our government has never been as clear as it is under the Trump administration, which is full of billionaires. But for some reason, too many regular Americans trust the empty motivations of people that have vast amounts of money, and they have it due to their strategy of building their wealth off of regular people's backs. But having straight discussions like this are making sense to some Republicans that they assume will support them no matter what.
I am a longtime Republican.
I am a Republican. My voting record labels me as a hard Republican.
I am a Republican precinct lead.
Conservative Republican.
Proud conservative Republican.
And I am against HB 3.
And I am against the bill.
This is going against everything that a Texas Republican is.
This bill is a skunk that we're trying to pass off as a kitty cat.
It is not a conservative bill.
Spending billions to create new programs is not conservative.
I'm a conservative. This is not the conservative way.
Using tax dollars to fund private education is a bad idea.
This is my money that I do not want spent on this.
Homeschoolers are thriving without government intervention.
I'm a longtime homeschool mom and a homeschool advocate, and I have some serious concerns about this bill.
The bill has been touted as one that protects parental rights, but that simply is not true.
Rural kids in particular, which is my passion, are going to get left behind.
House Bill 3 doesn't serve rural communities like Blanco.
You're tearing the communities apart, and the children are not even involved. It's about power and money.
For those of you who are in the Republican Party like I am, it does violate the party principles, the priorities, the platform, the plank. All of it.
70% of Texans oppose vouchers.
This bill must die in the House.